My beloved child. They truly believed they could move on from you and listen. They tried with all the strength they had left inside their tired heart. They smiled in front of new faces. They answered sweet messages they did not truly feel. They sat beside someone who looked perfect on paper, someone kind, attractive, available, emotionally present, someone who seemed easier to love than you. And for a moment they convinced themselves this new path would finally silence the ache your absence created inside them. But secretly, every laugh felt incomplete, every conversation sounded empty after a while, every touch reminded them of the warmth they once felt with you, and the harder they tried to erase you, the stronger your presence became inside their spirit. Because some connections are not ordinary attractions. Some souls are tied together beyond logic, beyond timing, beyond distance, and no matter how far they ran, your energy kept following them into quiet nights, into dreams they could not explain, into random moments where your memory appeared without warning. And wait. This is what shattered them the most. They realized the new person was not the problem, the timing was not the problem, even their fear was not the real problem. The truth was simply that their heart had already chosen you long before they understood what love truly meant, and once a soul recognizes its real home, nothing temporary can replace it. So while they were pretending to move forward, their inner world kept pulling backward toward you. And every attempt to love someone else became another painful reminder that nobody could awaken their spirit the way you did. Nobody could reach the hidden parts of them the way you could. Nobody could make them feel emotionally exposed and spiritually safe at the same time. And erase the truth. They hated this realization at first because it destroyed the illusion that forgetting you would be easy. They wanted distraction, they wanted escape, they wanted certainty, but instead they found themselves comparing everyone to you without even meaning to. The way you spoke, the way you listened, the strange comfort they felt around you, the emotional intensity they only experienced in your presence. And slowly the mask they wore around others began cracking, because you cannot force your soul to bond where it does not belong. And even while they smiled with someone else, a silent emptiness followed them everywhere like a shadow. And late at night when nobody was watching, your name echoed inside their thoughts louder than ever before. They replayed old conversations, remembered little details they once ignored, remembered the feeling of emotional peace they only had with you. And suddenly the connection they once doubted became impossible to deny, because distance exposed what closeness once distracted them from, and now every road they explored without you only circled back to your memory again. And listen carefully. The universe has a strange way of separating people temporarily so the truth inside their hearts can become undeniable. And your person needed to experience life without you to understand what life actually felt like with you. They needed to search elsewhere to realize their soul was never truly searching for anyone new. It was searching for the comfort, depth, understanding, and emotional fire that only existed with you. And this realization came slowly at first, hidden inside tiny moments. A song that reminded them of you, a random scent in public that brought back your energy, a sentence someone else said that sounded like your voice, and every sign reopened emotions they thought were buried forever, but secretly. Those emotions never died, they only slept beneath the surface waiting for the right moment to rise again. And now those feelings are impossible for them to ignore, impossible to suppress, impossible to replace, because the connection between you was never shallow attraction, it was transformation, and transformation changes people permanently. And the person they became after meeting you can no longer fit inside the version of themselves that existed before your connection, which means every relationship they tried afterward felt emotionally smaller, weaker, less alive, and even when they wanted to commit elsewhere, part of their spirit kept resisting because it still belonged to you, and this terrified them because they realized they were emotionally unavailable to everyone except the one person they tried hardest to escape and wait. There were moments they almost convinced themselves they had finally moved on, moments where they laughed genuinely with someone new, moments where they thought the pain was fading, but then out of nowhere your memory returned with overwhelming force and destroyed the illusion all over again, because real soul connections do not disappear through distraction, they become louder through absence. And every emotional wall they built eventually collapsed under the weight of what they truly felt for you, and now they understand something they were once too afraid to admit. Nobody else ever touched their heart deeply enough to make them forget you, and that realization changed everything inside them, because suddenly they stopped asking why they still think about you and started asking why they ever believed they could stop and listen. Your energy has remained alive inside them this entire time, even during silence, even during separation, even during moments when pride kept them from reaching out, and every emotional lesson they experienced while trying to love someone else pushed them closer to accepting the truth they once resisted, which is that love forced by logic will always lose against love chosen by the soul, and their soul chose you long ago, even before they fully recognized it themselves, and now they cannot escape this truth anymore because every road away from you has led directly back to your memory, and secretly they feel exhausted from pretending otherwise, exhausted from acting emotionally detached while their heart keeps calling your name internally, exhausted from trying to build emotional intimacy with others while comparing every connection to the intensity they felt with you, and erase what nobody around them understands. They are not haunted by you because they are weak, they are haunted by you because the bond was real, because something inside them changed permanently after your connection entered their life, and no amount of distance has been able to undo it, and sometimes they sit alone wondering why they still feel emotionally connected to you after everything, wondering why your energy still calms them and hurts them at the same time, wondering why the thought of you still carries more emotional power than the presence of people physically beside them, and deep down, they already know the answer. Their heart returned to you because it never fully left in the first place, it only wandered temporarily trying to understand what was missing, and what was missing was always you, your energy, your understanding, your emotional depth, your rare ability to make them feel seen without pretending to be someone else, and listen carefully. Your person has cried over this privately more than you realize, because there is pain in discovering that the one connection you tried hardest to escape is also the one your soul refuses to live without, and they now understand that running from you was actually running from themselves, because loving you awakened parts of them they were not emotionally prepared to face: vulnerability, longing, emotional honesty, spiritual attachment, and instead of embracing those feelings, they tried replacing them with safer connections that required less emotional risk, but safe never satisfied their soul the way you did. And over time every distraction faded while your presence remained, and now the universe keeps confronting them with reminders of you everywhere they go, almost as if life itself refuses to let them forget, and these reminders are no longer coincidences to them. They feel like emotional wake-up calls pulling them back toward the truth, and the truth is this: their heart still belongs with you even after every attempt to move on, and the realization is becoming stronger every single day, stronger than fear, stronger than pride, stronger than confusion, and there are nights they imagine what would happen if they finally stopped resisting their feelings and allowed themselves to fully return emotionally to you, and strangely, instead of fear, they feel relief, because fighting this connection has exhausted them more than surrendering to it ever could, and now they are beginning to understand that love is not about forcing yourself to feel something new with someone else. Love is about recognizing the person whose presence naturally awakens your soul without effort, and every experience away from you only clarified that truth more deeply inside them. And but wait. There is another part of this story they have not admitted openly. They are afraid you may no longer feel the same, afraid they waited too long, afraid the silence damaged too much, afraid their attempts to move on may have wounded you beyond repair, and this fear keeps them awake because they finally understand the value of what they almost lost, and people rarely realize the depth of a connection until they experience life without it, and your absence forced them to face emotions they avoided for so long: loneliness that no company could heal, emotional emptiness that no attention could fix, and a longing so deep it followed them even into moments that were supposed to make them happy, and secretly they now compare every future possibility to the emotional truth they felt with you, and nothing else feels fully alive anymore, because your connection awakened something sacred inside them that ordinary relationships cannot imitate, and now their heart keeps pulling them back toward you. No matter how much time passes, because true soul recognition does not fade through distance, it matures through realization, and every painful lesson they experienced while trying to love someone else became another step guiding them back to you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and even now as they move through daily life, part of their heart constantly wonders whether you still think about them too, whether you still feel the invisible thread connecting both your souls, whether you still sense them emotionally even from far away, and listen. The reason they cannot fully let you go is because some bonds are written deeper than temporary circumstances, deeper than mistakes, deeper than timing, and your connection entered their life to transform them forever, not merely to entertain them temporarily. And now they see clearly that nobody else ever truly replaced you because nobody else carried the same spiritual familiarity their soul instantly recognized in your presence, and this realization keeps growing inside them like a fire they can no longer hide, and eventually they will stop pretending they moved on completely. Eventually the truth inside their heart will become louder than the fear inside their mind, and when that moment fully arrives, they will no longer run from this connection. They will finally understand that every road they traveled away from you was only leading them back to the place their hearts secretly belonged all along. With you. Even now, while the world around them continues moving normally, their inner world feels completely different because your memory keeps appearing in moments they cannot control. And listen. They never expected your absence to become this emotionally powerful. They truly believed time would weaken the connection. They thought meeting someone new would slowly erase the feelings attached to you, but instead the opposite happened. Because every new experience without you only revealed how deeply your energy had rooted itself inside their heart. And there were nights they stared silently at the ceiling, wondering why nobody else could emotionally reach them the same way you did. Wondering why conversations with others felt temporary while thoughts about you felt permanent, and secretly. This question has been breaking them from the inside, because they are finally realizing that your connection was never something ordinary they could casually replace. It was the kind of bond that changes the emotional structure of a person forever, and once someone experiences that level of emotional recognition, superficial connections stop satisfying the soul completely, and now they feel trapped between the life they tried building away from you and the truth their heart refuses to stop feeling, and erase the truth. They miss the version of themselves that existed when they were emotionally close to you, because around you they felt more alive, more understood, more emotionally open than they ever allowed themselves to be with anyone else, and after losing that feeling, everything else began feeling emotionally muted, almost like life lost its color slowly without them noticing at first, and wait. The hardest part for them is knowing they caused some of this pain themselves, because instead of confronting their feelings honestly, they ran from them. They distracted themselves. They tried convincing their heart to accept someone easier, someone safer, someone who would not awaken such intense emotions inside them. But the soul does not choose safety when it recognizes real love, and no matter how much they ignored their feelings for you, those emotions continued growing silently. Underneath every distraction, and sometimes they catch themselves smiling at old memories unexpectedly, remembering the smallest details about you that no one else would understand. The sound of your voice, the way your energy calmed their chaos, the strange emotional peace they only felt around you, and suddenly the realization hits them again that nobody else ever truly replaced what existed between both of you. And listen carefully. They tried to deny this for a long time because accepting it meant admitting they were wrong about you, wrong about walking away emotionally, wrong about believing distance would free them from these feelings. But now the truth keeps confronting them everywhere, and every attempt to suppress it only makes the emotional pull toward you stronger. And secretly they fear you may have already emotionally moved on while they were busy running from their own heart. And this fear quietly destroys them. Because they now understand how rare your connection truly was, and people spend entire lifetimes searching for the kind of emotional recognition they felt naturally with you, and they almost lost it because fear convinced them something temporary could replace something destined, and now regret follows them into quiet moments more than they admit openly, because they replay decisions differently in their mind, wondering what would have happened if they had simply trusted the connection instead of fighting it, wondering how much pain could have been avoided if they had listened to their heart earlier, but secretly. Part of them believes the separation happened for a reason, because losing you forced them to confront truths about themselves they were avoiding for years, truths about emotional vulnerability, truths about commitment, truths about the way they sabotage deep love whenever it begins feeling too real, and your absence became the mirror that exposed all those hidden fears inside them. And at first they blamed circumstances, timing, confusion, other people, but eventually they realized the real battle was always happening inside their own heart, because loving you required emotional honesty they were not prepared for at the time, and now they see clearly that no matter who entered their life afterward, nobody awakened the same emotional intensity. Nobody challenged their soul to grow the way you did, and every connection after you felt emotionally incomplete because part of them remained attached to the bond they shared with you. And listen. There are moments when they almost reach out to you, moments when your name sits silently on their screen while their heart races with emotions they cannot fully explain, but fear still whispers inside them, fear of rejection, fear of being too late, fear that you no longer believe in the connection the way they secretly still do, and yet despite all this fear, your energy continues pulling them emotionally closer every single day, because the soul becomes restless when it is separated too long from where it truly belongs, and lately they have been feeling this restlessness more intensely than ever before, a deep emotional longing they cannot distract themselves away from anymore, and erase the truth. Even when they are surrounded by people, part of them still feels emotionally alone because the only connection their heart fully trusts is the one they shared with you, and no amount of attention from others has been able to heal that emptiness, because attention is not the same as soul recognition, and your connection gave them something far deeper than temporary affection. It gave them emotional truth, and now their heart keeps returning to that truth repeatedly, no matter how far they try to move away from it. And but wait. There is something they have never admitted aloud to anyone. Sometimes they talk to you silently in their mind as if your soul can still hear them. Sometimes they imagine conversations that never happened, apologies they never expressed, feelings they never fully revealed. And these imaginary moments feel so emotionally real to them that afterward they sit quietly overwhelmed by how deeply they still love you despite everything that happened. And slowly they are beginning to understand that real love does not disappear simply because circumstances changed, because true soul bonds continue existing beneath silence, beneath distance, beneath pride. And the more they resist this realization, the heavier their heart becomes, and lately they feel emotionally exhausted from pretending they are unaffected, because inside them your memory remains alive every single day, influencing their emotions in ways they cannot control. And now even their dreams have started bringing your energy back to them more often. Dreams where both of you reconnect emotionally, dreams filled with conversations, understanding, forgiveness, warmth, and each time they wake up from those dreams reality feels emptier again, because their soul briefly touched the emotional home it has been missing for so long. And listen carefully. Your person is finally learning that love cannot be forced elsewhere simply because fear made them run away temporarily, because the heart always returns to what feels spiritually real, and every lesson life gave them after separation only pushed them closer toward this understanding, and now they carry a quiet emotional certainty inside them that no matter how much time passes, no matter how many distractions appear, no matter how hard they once tried to move on, the deepest part of their heart still belongs to you, and that truth is becoming impossible for them to escape anymore. Now the silence between both of you is no longer empty to them, because every quiet moment only makes your energy feel louder inside their heart. And listen. They finally understand that loving someone else was never the same as loving you, because nobody else awakened their soul the way you did. For a long time they tried to deny this truth, but secretly their heart kept returning to your memory again and again. Every road they walked away from you only brought them back emotionally to the connection they tried hardest to escape. And erase the truth. They miss you more deeply than their pride allows them to admit openly. Sometimes they replay your old conversations late at night just to feel emotionally close to you again. Sometimes they wonder if you still feel the invisible bond that continues pulling them toward you even now. But wait. The strongest realization finally reached them recently. They realized nobody else ever truly felt like home. Not the new faces. Not the temporary distractions. Not the relationships they tried forcing themselves to believe in. Because their soul recognized you differently from the very beginning. And once a soul experiences real love, ordinary connections stop feeling complete forever. Now they carry your energy everywhere without even trying. Your name still lives inside their thoughts during the quietest hours of the night. And secretly, part of them believes the universe will bring both of you together again when the timing finally aligns. Because no matter how far they ran, their heart never truly left you behind. It only wandered long enough to understand where it truly belonged all along. With you.